Good afternoon. Welcome to Jerusalem. We're up at a new Torah in Likutei Moharan, Rabbi Nachman's classic, and it begins with a famous verse of Tehillim, Psalms, that says, "B'karov alai mera'im le'echol basari." Those who were close to me came to eat me. Eat my flesh, if you want to be real precise with the translation. The King David goes on to say, "Tzarai v'uvai," those who cause me suffering, my enemies. Li hema kashalu v'naflu. They will trip and they will fall. It's an interesting statement. The people who are close to me want to eat me up, but they're going to trip and fall. Think about it for a second. The people that are far from you are not going to be able to eat you up. The people that you don't have regular contact with, they're not usually going to be interested in enough to causing you suffering and be your enemies. The Mishnah tells us that in the end of days, in the generation of the redemption, which is a long generation, according to various interpretations of the words. In that generation, they'll have a lot of machines that crush boxes in the shuk. In that generation, the children will have the face, not just the children, but will carry the face of a dog. What's the face of a dog? What kind of image is that? Well, the dog is typified in the Talmud as a greedy creature. Hav, it says, give me, give me. You got to imagine back in the day, there weren't pet shops and pet motels and pet vacations, back in the day, if you were a dog, you really hoped to get your daily meal. They didn't even have dumpsters, right, that you could climb in and find lunch. It was tough being a dog back then. Nowadays it seems to be much easier, not in all neighborhoods, but... So the dog is not typified in the language of the sages as this wonderful, loving creature that sits on your fur carpet and, is happy with his little biscuits. Why the face of the dog in the generation of the redemption? Because it's telling us the relationship of people to people, that the people will no longer have the face of God. The people will no longer carry the image of a divine person that gives and learns and teaches and prays and knows the past and knows the future and knows the messianic paradigm and the redemption of humanity in its stages over 2,000 years, the Zohar says. That the generation will fall to the point where we won't even know our name, we won't know our tribe, we won't know our destiny, we won't know our journey, our purpose. We won't know why we're here. We don't know why we suffer. We don't know why I feel pain for no reason or for very small reasons. We won't know. Why don't we know all these questions? These are the questions of life. I first kind of smacked into them about 16, 17 years old, when a few painful things happened. It took a long time to even find anybody to talk to that could actually address the questions. It took me to get all the way to Jerusalem from Orlando, Florida, to find people that I could talk to and then ask those questions and then get some answers that felt right. And the King of Kings In a physical form, King David, the greatest of kings, he's going through the same thing. The people close to him are eating him. The people that you feed, the people that come to the table of the king are plotting against the king. Who wants to be king if the people closest to you are plotting against you? Well, he begins the Torah, Rabbi Nachman, with another statement. He jumps thematically, which he always does, and he expects us, like the Hachamim do, to link the jumps in the text. Why subject to subject? And he begins, Va'inyan ukach, and the subject is like this, Ki B'yah Hashem Sur Olamim. In the name of God, the rock of the worlds. So you have to kind of take these phrases apart. They're very English, it's misleading. You think, oh, I know what he said. In the name of God, the rock of the worlds. I heard of that, the rock of ages. But we'd have to know what they really mean. And B'yah, in the name that represents wisdom, God's wisdom, when it is expressed in its creative form, Yud Hey and Vav Hey, right? So we have two names of God. One is transferring energy from the right brain to the heart, because the right brain is Yud K, that name, and the heart is Yud K Vav K, the name that is the intersection of all the intersections of the powers of the names. See, so when you learn a little bit of Kabbalah, you start to see that, there's a little more behind just saying the name of God. It's really in the transfer of life force power from your brain to your heart. That's a big move. And in that move, we call him the rock of the worlds. Why the worlds? Well, worlds, first of all, in Kabbalah, are not simply where I live. I live in this world. You could call the world planet Earth. You could call, well, my world is the world of, Jerusalem, Kabbalah. And your world is the world of Hollywood movies. And another guy's got his world on a ranch in Texas. World is a very flexible noun, shall we call it. But here, Sur Olamim, the rock of the worlds, the idea of the rock is the foundation. It's the thing that you can build on. It's not going anywhere. It's the idea of stability, the idea of strength, the idea of something that holds everything else in its place, holds everything in balance, in proportion, and of course in the heart, beauty. So when we say the life force of the mind that comes down to the heart, that we call the rock of the worlds, now we've got this different image. We follow the map of the paradigm tree of life, the Eitz Chaim. We follow the map through the forces, mind to heart, that spreads out to the whole body of each person, to the body of the nation, to the body of humanity. There is a rock that's holding us all together. We used to call it the Rock of Ages. It was a very nice, gospel song. But the rock of the worlds is something we turn to when we need a rock, because the world feels chaotic. The world feels unstable. The world feels completely untenable. I asked my wife why I woke up feeling depressed, and she said, well, maybe you listen to too much news. You hear about soldiers dying in a tank. That'll ruin your day. Or you hear about presidents contradicting themselves and making different promises and after a while it just takes you down, takes you off your peak of your own mind. But King David is telling us a secret though. If you feel like you have enemies, if you feel like you have forces against you, don't look far away. Look close first. They might be in our own mind. They might be in our heart. And we're going to continue this Torah tomorrow. But, when you know that God is with you, You can make the statement with pride, clarity, and certainty. God will make them fall. I'm not going to fall because I'm attached to the rock. God bless you all. Have a great week. We'll see you tomorrow.